Coming up this week, off-screen.
We say hello to Benjamin,
Meet a girl.
get to know a prodigy,
Enjoy a fisherman's friend.
go under the Silver Lake,
And then Ben comes back.
all those to come and more, off screen.
This is Off-Screen. 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 With the latest film news and reviews, this is Off-Screen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
Welcome to Off-Screen, I'm Dan Connor.
And I'm Case Allen.
Really? That's how you think I sound?
That's exactly how you sound. I bet everyone listening to this thinks, oh, Van's just with himself today.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
So, welcome back, Mr. Allen, as always. Another week of filmic fun awaits us.
As usual.
And there is some fun this week. There is absolutely fun.
Yeah, I've seen none of the films that we're going to be talking about, but I've seen the trailer for 3 of them.
But you have seen films in general, so you've at least got a benchmark to work against. You know,
That's it, yeah.
Just that.
I can compare them to Captain Marvel, which I have seen, actually. I have seen that. I saw that last week.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, before we get to reviewing those films, then, before we get to the box office top 5 and all the film news that we love to randomly intersperse throughout, we need a piece of news to kick us off for the week. What have you got?
So, there is talk about a sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody because money.
Yeah. To be honest, yeah, it would be. I mean, how much money do you think you'd have to throw at Rami? Oh, mind you, it's not like you could get Rami Malek back, is it?
I think you'd get Rami Malek.
Do you think a sequel?
Definitely.
Do you think a sequel would have to be
just
like?
because he's got an Oscar and like a higher pay rate now.
Well, hang on a minute. If
make
there
a
is a sequel, though, wouldn't it become that movie that Queen always wanted, where Freddie dies halfway?
That's it.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool.
And it ends with the Freddie Mercury tribute show. And you call the film "Show Must Go On."
That
it.
works.
That's it.
That's it.
Absolutely. It's like when Rocket Man comes out and everyone will be like, let's have a sequel to that.
Really?
Yeah. Because he's still going, so you can just do like all the Tantrums and Tiara era stuff.
I mean, I don't know how far into
hair transplants.
How far into his life does Rocket Man go? Because like, who plays the Spice
They've not
Girls?
said. They've not said. That's a good point. We need 90s Elton. We need like Sacrifice era.
Anyway, back to Freddie.
Yeah.
So Bohemian Rhapsody 2 is being discussed. I believe that's the news. It's being discussed as a serious thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair. You've got a decent supporting cast still there. You've got oh my word, who played Brian May? Welsh name. Gwilym Lee, isn't it?
Gwilym Lee, yeah.
Gwilym Lee, and you've got Ben from EastEnders and X-Men and Joey Mazzello.
And Joe Mazzello. Joe Mazzello, who looks more like John Deacon than John Deacon looks like John Deacon.
He really does as well.
It's crackers.
There was no point in that movie where I questioned that Joseph Mazzello was not British. And I found that
he might have been my favourite thing about the whole film.
He was fun, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he's there to be like the smart ass and also the comic relief and also be the butt of jokes all at the same time.
True.
But it worked.
And also still had to be convincing that this is the dude who writes... again, I've lost the track name entirely. I Want to Break Free. That's the one.
Yeah. And Another One Bites the Dust.
Is that his as well?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, actually, that does make sense.
I think Kind of Magic is his as well. He's got loads of great songs.
Well, it'll be interesting to see.
You're My Best Friend is him.
I wonder how long they'd wait for a Queen sequel. For a Bohemian Rhapsody.
I just want a John Deacon film. I want a film about John Deacon now where he's just a rich millionaire who just goes to pub.
Fair.
And he's out of the public eye.
Yeah, that's kind of the dream.
That's the film I want.
If you do that and set it at the bottom of the garden, you could do the Ed Sheeran one as well.
Yeah, but why would I want that?
But I mean, just presumably, I don't know, because I don't know. He seems to have a fan base after the Richard Curtis thing,
doesn't he? Do you know what? I think that does look good. Yes,
I do. I'm intrigued by your stand. I never got to ask you about it actually.
I think it looks good. I think when it was being filmed, and you got they released a vague a vague outline of what was going to be happening. I was a bit like,
So just for people who don't know, haven't seen the trailer then.
Yes.
So this is a movie, it's a Richard Curtis written British romantic comedy, is it?
Directed by Danny Boyle.
Oh, Danny Boyle, yeah.
Yep.
And it stars a young actor who it's introducing, although I'm told stars in EastEnders,
right.
as a musician who has a bike accident and wakes up in a world where nobody has heard of the Beatles. They've just been erased from history.
Yes.
So he invents all the Beatles songs and everything for himself.
And becomes like a superstar. Ed Sheeran, I don't know how big of a character he is. He's just playing himself. But there's a bit where he's in the studio with this guy, and the guy is singing Hey Jude.
Yes.
And Ed Sheeran's like, why don't you call it Hey Dude instead? Which is pretty funny.
To be fair, objectively, that is quite funny. And also, I like that Ed Sheeran's so open to having fun with himself. I feel like he's trying to get to the James Blunt stage, earlier.
They are friends as well.
Are they? That makes absolute sense.
Yeah, I think James Blunt has supported him at a bunch of gigs. And,
I thought you meant like emotionally. Like,
I'm
don't
sure
worry,
that as well.
Don't worry, it was fun to hate me for a time.
Yeah,
as well.
they'll come around, just go on Twitter and just take the mic out of yourself.
Be a bit mean to everyone on Twitter, but be funny about it.
Yeah, be self-deprecating and also an arse to people.
Exactly.
People love it.
And when you need to, I've had your mum. Drop one of those.
Yeah.
Gangbusters, mate. Gangbusters. Okay, so first film of the week, which is not going to go down like Gangbusters. So,
no.
This.
Oh, I've heard this is weird.
Oh, have you heard it's weird?
Yeah.
Oh, it's weird. I'll give it that. It's definitely weird.
Yeah.
So, Under the Silver Lake, which is not the second film, but the first big film for David Robert Mitchell.
Who did
since
It Follows.
Exactly. Now, he had done a couple of smaller films, I think, before that, but It Follows was his breakout film. It was his Donnie Darko, as it were. Now, that comparison...
I see where you're going with this.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Because this comparison has to come up. So, if you remember, Donnie Darko, Richard Kelly?
Richard Kelly, yeah.
Richard Kelly made this breakout indie film. They sent him away with a sack full of money and told him to make whatever he wanted, and he came back with Southland Tales, which was bonkers. And now, David Robert Mitchell has seemingly done the same thing. He has come back with Under the Silver Lake, which, if I'm going to pitch it to you, Case, I think I'm going to pitch it as The Long Goodbye meets Bored to Death meets Southland Tales.
All right.
That's where I'm going with it. Starring Andrew Garfield.
Is he some kind of like private investigator then?
It's along the Raymond Chandler sort of a line. Right, it's along that sort of LA set, neo-noir, indie drama, detective kind of angle.
Okay.
You've got Andrew Garfield, who is a sort of a feckless stoner who really doesn't really have an occupation so much as whatever his current interest is. And one night he meets a bombshell by the pool, played by Riley Keough, Elvis's granddaughter, which still mystifies me because she is genuinely charismatic.
I always forget that. Someone tells me like, oh, what?
Whenever you see her in a film, you think, oh my God, it's Riley Keough, I like Riley Keough, and then you're like, oh yeah, she's Elvis's granddaughter, isn't she?
Yeah,
like the two have no resemblance. But anyway, she's good in her own way, that's the point. She then disappears. She checks out of her motel after these two have a night of passion, and he ostensibly sets off to find her. This is a missing persons case with a sort of feckless stoner, Elliot Gould adjusted for cultural inflation, detective archetype. Okay? Here's a clip.
Stay quiet.
What?
It means stay quiet. It's a hobo code.
Really?
Hobos and rail riders used it a lot in the 1930s. Here. Take a look. They used it to let people know who was cool, who wasn't, what houses offer food, if there was a doctor in town that might be sympathetic to travelers, that sort of thing.
Okay, so why is it in Sarah's room? And who are they telling to be quiet?
I don't know. Maybe you.
So, do you pick up a certain almost David Lynchian vibe from that bit at all?
Yeah, it seems very intentional.
Yeah, it goes into that Richard Kelly, The Box, that David Lynch, that Mulholland Drive, goes into that kind of territory for pockets of its runtime.
Right.
All right. There are other times when it would like to be the number 23. There are other times when it would like to be The Long Goodbye. There are other times when it would like to be Bored to Death. And actually, that is an influence that runs all the way through it. The sort of a hipster millennial detective kind of an angle that Jason Schwartzman...
In Bored to Death, yeah?
Yeah, in Bored to Death. I think that he kind of nailed so perfectly in that almost Wes Andersonian, modern detective. It's that kind of thing going through it. But there are these pockets where it goes off and does other things. Now, on the surface, it would like you to regard it as this Big Lebowski style, multitude of intertwined subplots dealt with by a detective, or something more like, The Long Goodbye, for instance. The problem is the areas that it chooses to go into, it goes into on a whim, with no setup, and with no I would say, tonal consideration across the board. So it will go into an area that's jumpy and horror-like, and then it will go into an area that's slapstick and weird, and then it will go into an area that's very meta and very knowing, and it makes all these leaps without giving you the time to really find any kind of a foothold in the material. So you're not carried along with it. It does just feel like stuff happening. I mean, there is a point in the middle of this movie that goes full end of Matrix Reloaded. You know, with the architect in the room, only in this case, it's a songwriter, and I don't want to know how much they actually spent on the songwrites in this thing, because it is insane.
Is it an actual songwriter? Is it an actual musician? Or
it's
is
an
it
actual
someone
character known as the songwriter who functions as a songwriter.
Who plays that person, or is it
not really a known commodity?
Oh, right.
No, because I would have gotten someone like Tom Waits or someone to do it. You know? Just for giggles, I would have gotten like my Tom Waits or someone. But there's this grand big scene in the middle of it that I think will come to define how you see the film. You watch that scene, if you think that's the coolest thing you've ever seen, what else could it do? Be prepared for something that does play kind of like Map to the Stars, the John Cusack one from a few years ago.
Yeah, the Cronenberg one.
Yeah, Cronenberg. Oh, was it Cronenberg? Because I almost said Lynch.
Different David.
Different Dave, man. Different Dave. Although David Lynch's The Fly is something I would be very intrigued to see. But
I would see that.
Yeah,
I would want to see David Lynch's Star Wars. we almost did at one point.
We nearly did. That's very true. But so Under the Silver Lake, great performance from Andrew Garfield. He does manage to hold it relatively well together. The only problem is the film is just pulling in the opposite direction. And as good as he is, and he is genuinely good in this, he can't make something out of this. There's nothing to be made out of it. For me, it's too messy. It's well made. Like, you know, give it its dues. It is produced to its own absolute perfection. Every one of the tangents it wants to go off, it does that individual tangent very well. Whether that tangent has any bearing on anything else in the film is somewhat more up for debate.
Too many tangents.
Too many tangents. It is, in fact, it is the Adult Swim sketch. It's too many cooks. Is exactly what it is.
With the latest film news and reviews, this is Offscreen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
And we're back, Mr. Allen. So, before we get to some more news from yourself, I'd like to take you to a film that I think you would really enjoy. It is...
what are you trying to say?
Oh, no. I think it's a very charming film. It's a very quaint film. It's a film that it's like a big, thick blanket that you just want to wrap yourself up in and enjoy. And it's called Fisherman's Friends.
Yeah.
Have you seen the poster?
I've seen the trailer.
You've seen the trailer?
Many times.
Many times?
Many times.
I'm guessing very little enthusiasm.
There's one joke in the trailer that I really like, but it's right at the end.
Is it the Bonio?
Yeah.
It's the Bonio.
I'm Bonio.
I think that's actually that clip.
It's great. It's a great clip.
Right, so this stars Daniel Mays.
Yeah.
As a bit of a lad, a London lad, talent management type. He cultivates all the big acts and flogs them to the record label. And he's off on a stag do one weekend with his boys from the label, including his boss, Noel Clarke.
Who is American for some reason.
Who is American for no reason. American and modelled like he's... You know when you see Andre Braugher dressed up for the 70s and the 80s in Brooklyn Nine-Nine? He's dressed like that for some reason, with an awful, Elvis accent.
Yeah.
Right, they go to Cornwall on this stag weekend, and whilst there, they cross paths with and sort of faintly annoy, but not really memorably, a group of local fishermen who also double as like a musical group together. They have like a community group where they sing local sea shanties, old traditional sea shanties.
Sounds charming.
'Tis a fine barn, but surely there's no pool English.
Pool English.
But I don't know why that leaps to mind. But there's a lot of that kind of voice in there.
Yeah.
Ye old-timey sailor voice. Yar! And amongst the residents of this group are James Purefoy and what's his name? Is it John from Daniel Blake?
Daniel Blake. I forget his name. Let's just call him Daniel Blake.
John Peter? Something like that.
Not John Peters.
Not John Peters.
Not John Peters.
But the whole thing is, this group of record executives, because basically they're not the nicest people in the world, they prank Daniel Mays' character by telling him to go and sign them because they think people will really like the
Oh, I didn't realise that was a prank.
Right.
In the trailer,
it's done
how
as,
it comes.
it's done as a prank.
That's
and
nasty.
then while his back's turned, they drive off and leave him. So they abandon him in Cornwall,
Right.
and he thinks he actually has this mission to sign them. So, of course, he goes and does. This, by the way, is all loosely based on an actual true story.
Right. That is meaner than I thought it was going to be, so I don't know if I want to see this.
And, of course, in discovering the music of the sea shanty and of the band, he not only comes to learn about, what it means to the world, what these kind of stories do to their listeners, he also learns a little something about himself, too. And, well, we have a clip for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're the Fisherman's Friends.
What kind of music were they singing?
The rock and roll of 1752.
You've got a unique sound. I believe I can secure you a record deal.
I don't understand. Why anyone would want to buy a record sung by 10 hairy-ass fishermen?
Remember what the well-known Irish singer Paul Houston from Dublin said? Put a pair of shades on. I'm Bonio.
Bono, you pillock.
Dave John, isn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a comedian, isn't he?
He is, yeah, he's a stand-up, yeah. I've not seen it. I can guarantee that is the best part of the film.
No, there's some great laughs in it, actually. There's some really good laughs. It is a lot of the humour comes from the fish out of water element, which is Daniel Mays being in this, being the big city lad, and he's in this Cornish town where you can only get phone reception if you walk to the very end of a high pier, for instance. And and like if you park your car in a certain place, it's going to get caught in the tide. And, jokes like that. And it is very charming. There's no other word for it. It's a very charming, very likeable film. It's earnest. It doesn't want to be a great big ambitious film, and I kind of like that about it. It doesn't try to have a deeper meaning because this, it does accept that it's only really as big in stature as that James Corden opera one was the other year. You remember?
What was that? With the guy from Britain's Got Talent?
Something. 1 in a million. 1 in a million. One chance.
One chance.
One chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that one chance. It's kind of like that, but meets Still Crazy. If you can imagine that. So with Bill Nighy and Jimmy Nail and Timothy Spall and that lot.
It kind of, like, the description and just kind of reminds me of, do you remember that Ted Danson 90s Loch Ness film?
Yes! It was actually called Loch Ness,
I think it was just called Loch Ness.
Yeah.
Where I even forget why he's there. He's in Scotland, and I think he's been sent on like a fake mission or something to go find Nessie, and then spoiler, he finds Nessie. But then he's got this like choice, like whether to tell the media and bring everyone over and ruin the secret and that kind of thing.
I'm just amazed they managed to get this many fishermen in the movie and not have to cast Gerard Butler, because that seems like a weird.
Well, it's not set in Scotland.
There is that, yes. But
you put this in Fife, and
well, yeah, it's true.
You give Jerry a call.
But that's the thing. So it's got its influences proudly on its sleeve. So like I say, Still Crazy and One Chance and things like that. And it's very likeable. The music's very charming as well. The music wins you over quite quickly. You get into this lilted tone of it all. Daniel Mays grows on you. They had the decency to cast James Purefoy in something, which automatically gets an extra star from me.
Why do you love him so much?
I don't know.
I've got nothing against him. But you've got a real love for him.
I think it's because I always thought he'd make a really good James Bond, and then I discovered one day that he had actually been screen tested for James Bond opposite Pierce Brosnan. So back in the GoldenEye era. So we nearly had a James Purefoy James Bond. And I just think that would have been so perfect in the late 90s.
Why would they screen test him against Pierce Brosnan?
Along with when they screen tested Pierce Brosnan
sorry, right,
again.
okay,
yeah. Even though they already had the established history of Pierce Brosnan, so clearly it was going to him.
He was always going to be
in the first place. Yeah, that old chestnut. But I don't know.
Just like a backup in case we couldn't get Remington Steele.
Well, the thing is, James Purefoy is an actor who I keep thinking I'd love to see him in that role, and then he gets cast in that role and then doesn't get it for some reason. So apparently, so he was nearly Bond, I wanted him to be the Saint. He then got cast as the Saint and then quit. I think many, many years ago, I remember they wanted to make a movie out of V for Vendetta, and I thought, oh my God, James Purefoy, he's got the voice for it. And then he joined it and then quit. So he was V, It was one of those.
And then we got Hugo Weaving.
And we got Hugo Weaving. So one of those things, I like seeing him try, and also I'm just fascinated by the idea that James Purefoy is now old enough to convincingly be Tuppence Middleton's father.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Tuppence Middleton's in this, by the way. Always nice to see her.
I didn't realise that he was her dad in this.
Yeah, he's a dad. And one of the other sailors is his dad. So
that's adorable.
Yeah, there's literally 4 generations on screen at one point in this movie. But
yeah, doesn't she have a kid as well?
She has a kid as well. It's very charming. It's a very, very likeable, endearing film. You will laugh along with it. You won't necessarily cry at it, but you'll be faintly moved
with
by
a really
it.
bad Cornish accent along with it.
And yeah, and you'll come out doing the accent.
Shall we do box office top 5?
Yes, let's move into the top 5 then.
Cool. Number 5.
How to Train Your Dragon 3, The Hidden World.
Which I like very much, and I think it seems to have gone down supremely well. I mean, it seems to have its fans. I mean, I didn't notice, actually, that it opened here before it opened in the US.
Yes.
So I went through 2 marketing campaigns.
I think
for
they
this.
had 2 preview weekends.
Did they? I felt like I went through the release of it here, and then I went over to the US and went through the release of it all over again. So How Strange the Dragon's been
weird deja vu. Yeah.
It's been released for about a month. Like it's had a month of being released.
Yeah.
For me, and I will say we were actually bigger on it in this country. I think in a very strange way.
I think it did well in America, but didn't. Yeah, wasn't amazing. I guess.
Do you think it has more of a European fan base? Or?
I couldn't possibly comment.
No,
I think it's got a pretty good international fan base.
And it's got a TJ Miller impersonator doing TJ Miller. So, there's that.
Yeah.
Fun threequel, better than the first one.
Surely you can't do an impression of TJ Miller and not get arrested for it.
No, I'd imagine. Well, if you do a physical impersonation of TJ Miller, then you get arrested for it, yeah. But say, I like this more than the first one, but not as much as the second. That's the high watermark for me. I like the way that it's not afraid to take chances with the mythology of it. Like, being a trilogy closer, it does go for big stakes. It does go for, we are going to change the world. And, and I like how it does that. I think it's quite clever. And the weird part is, one of the marketing spots for it, one of the TV spots for it, actually ruined that for me. Like, I knew it before I went into the film, and I'd not really even seen trailers for it or anything. I'd just seen this, one TV spot. I'm like, what a weird part of the narrative to give away.
Yeah,
but,
that's going to happen now.
Iron Man 3 did the Iron Legion, so what can you say? But anyone tweeted for us, what they got?
Yes, @_drunkenpastels says, pretty sure as the only adult ugly crying at the movie today during #HowToTrainYourDragon3. I've loved all 3 movies so much. Crying face, crying face, crying face.
Number 4.
Instant Family.
Instant Family, I was actually a really big fan of and didn't expect to be. This is the thing, you see it advertised and it does look like Daddy's Home, and then you see it and actually it's closer to something like, I would say, younger skewing Apatow film, would be the way to say it. Mark Wahlberg's on sort of Ted form, Rose Byrne's on sort of Neighbours form, I would say. The two work fairly well together. They've got decent chemistry. When's Rose Byrne ever really have bad chemistry with someone? I mean,
yeah, she's really likeable.
She is.
Pretty much everything.
I've just asked that, despite the fact that I told you recently, I think, that I wanted to rewatch I Give It a Year, in which she stars with... is it Rafe Spall?
Rafe Spall.
Yeah, we shall see. But yeah, Isabella Mona, though, breakout star of this. I really enjoyed it. I think it could have done without the plot element towards this, particularly in the third act.
That's what ruins films, isn't it? A lot of the time, having that plot element.
Because it's a character story for its first 2/3.
Yeah.
And then for its final third, all of a sudden it has to have plot. You're like, actually, you had an interesting enough movie on a mainstream popcorn level, just on the character stuff. So you didn't need to go into this more conventional fare, but okay, at least it's likeable enough that it pulled it off. So has anyone tweeted us about it anyway?
Angelica Malin.
Angelica Malin, yep.
She's got a blue tick. She's verified.
She is verified. She's
cool.
an influencer friend of mine.
Oh, nice, right. Legitimately just watched Instant Family on the plane and bawled my eyes out. It's so much better and more heartwarming than I was emotionally prepared for. Crying face emoji.
Number 3.
The Lego Movie 2, the second part, or second piece, which is what
Second piece would have been funnier, wouldn't it?
Way better.
Yeah, second piece would have been amazing. Okay, the more time goes by on the Lego Movie, the more I do respect its ambition with the story, where it tries to take it. I still don't think, though, that it manages it particularly well. Having said that, I mean, as you'll find when... Have you watched it? Have you watched Lego Movie 2? I don't know.
I don't watch films.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You don't watch films anymore. That's, you became
I'm not a person anymore.
No, you became a parent.
Yeah.
This is the trade-off you make.
Did watch Mary Poppins Returns the other day.
Oh, what do you think of it?
Do you know what? I really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's good. Yeah.
It's a better movie than Lego Movie 2. The second part, not second piece.
Made a good choice because I was going to watch Lego Movie and we decided to watch Mary Poppins. It seemed more Sunday friendly.
No, that's fair. It's a very Sunday film, Mary Poppins. Lego Movie 2, I don't know, 10 a.m. Sunday morning for young children, maybe?
Yeah.
But that's about it. Has anyone tweeted us and what did they think?
Say again. At Tales of Guatam says, at Philip Lord and at Chris Miller have just made a realistic and mature version of Toy Story, #Lego Movie 2. But they're the exec producers on it, aren't they?
They did write it as well.
Or did they write this one as well?
I think, actually, it might be Chris Miller that's written it. One of them has written it. One of Lord and Miller has written it, but they're both producers.
Both producers on it.
So it's not both of them writing, but it is one of them writing. I can tell you that much.
Right.
Also, wouldn't a realistic version of Toy Story 2, like without toys, just be story?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Number 2.
Fighting with My Family.
Which I really enjoyed. I sent my uncle to see it and he hated it. But he didn't hate it. He thought it was a rock movie. He thought it was a movie starring The Rock.
And he's not in it for that long.
And then he was disappointed. And it was this British thing. He was Brit thing. Like, with British accents. Making British jokes. And then The Rock showed up.
For British people.
The Rock showed up and then he went away. And I was like, do you know what? The wrong member of this family reviews movies, clearly.
Yeah.
You know.
It'd be a great podcast. It's just my uncle reviews films.
That would be,
yeah.
But mind you, for years he would describe 90% of films as typical American crap. But
that's a better name for the podcast. Typical American crap.
I feel like that's some sort of, some sort of Democratic Party podcast, though, rather than film reviews. But anyway. So back to the thing. Fighting with a Family, I thought was very funny. I thought it had its heart in absolutely the right place. It knew how to move you and make you chuckle sort of on a whim. I thought Florence Pugh and Jack Lowden were terrific in it. I had great fun with Nick Frost and Lena Headey. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. I don't think. Yeah. Either Lena or Lena.
Yeah. Stephen Merchant, terrific writer, capable director, I would say. But to be fair, I'm only saying capable because the film doesn't really provide you much in the way to... I mean, do you want to shoot wrestling better than the WWE would shoot it? Because then that kind of defeats the purpose. Yeah. And, the drama side is what it is. It doesn't want to be anything more than that. For me, it's an absolute winner. I liked it very much. So, cool. Has anybody tweeted us about it anyway?
Yes, at rising_angel19 says, just saw at Real Page's WWE movie Fighting with My Family, and I gotta say I loved every second of the movie. Such an insight into one of the trailblazers of the women's revolution. She probably won't see this tweet, but if she did, that would be kind of awesome. #Fighting with My Family.
Well, now she can hear it too.
Number 1.
Oh, I was expecting some kind of music for this.
Sorry,
let me down, Connor. Let me down. Captain Marvel.
What?
A DC film.
You can help me come up with a button for this, actually. Because I had no idea what we could create for that. So
what could we have? I was trying to think of some music with the word Marvel in it.
No, I mean...
It's wonderful. It's marvellous. Ooh. I can't think of anything else. Marvel.
Other than just using the riff from Elastica's Connection, I'm not entirely sure.
That's it. I mean, the soundtrack is so 90s, we could just do different 90s songs every time.
We really could. Although we won't use Hole's Celebrity Skin, because I wasn't out when the film is set, and I will take that to my grave. Okay, look, I don't get to know things about music very often, so I'm damn sure going to enjoy this, okay?
Do you want to have an argument about Hole? Because I don't care.
But the best part is, I know so little about music actually that I had to verify that I was right about that point. I actually looked at it. Was Hole's Celebrity Skin out? No, not till 98. Well, hang on a minute, it's 95. Was Cobain still alive in 95? I looked it up and I was like, oh no, he died a year earlier. That's how little I know. So,
right. Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything for the film, but the song you're talking about, is that necessarily in?
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, all right, fine. Yeah, okay, I'll go with that. That's a good point. Oof. Okay. Yeah. I'll secede on that one.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll cede that point. But anyway, so I had a lot of fun with Captain Marvel. I think you did as well.
Yeah, I'm going to see it tomorrow.
You're taking the wife, I believe.
Yeah. Yes, I am. Yeah, I've seen it already. I definitely fell asleep for 5 minutes because I'd been working all day, and then went to see it at 10:30 at night, which, in hindsight, might have been an error because I was quite tired.
I found it. I saw it a second time after we reviewed it, and I had a good time. I had a better time with it actually. I had even more of a ride. But I think all the things that I didn't like the first time, I still didn't feel any different on. I think I had slightly more fun with it, but I still had that point of it's still not quite as deep. It's still not quite as soulful and introspective as these films have weirdly sort of conditioned us to expect.
Well, this is the issue when you make like 70 films. Previous.
It's a Pixar problem. There's
going to be so many great films, and even when a film is really good, it's still going to be compared to like the awesome films.
Exactly. Sooner or later, you need to make. I don't know what the Pixar comparison would be actually. Ratatouille.
Ratatouille is great.
You think Ratatouille is great?
Yeah.
It's not in my...
You have no soul if you don't.
It's not in my top 10
great.
Pixars.
Really?
No, sorry.
What are your top... We'll do this podcast.
Podcast extras, top 10 Pixars. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in the meanwhile, I enjoyed it, didn't love it. Has anyone tweeted us about it?
At _feminism says, shut up, man.
Thanks.
And at Loz Unicorn, that's a great Twitter handle, well done, managed to catch Captain Marvel. I mean, it's not like it's a limited film, love.
Well done on going to the nearest multiplex.
See about your local Curzon, did you? Right. Captain Marvel last night. What a ride. Top stuff.
Fair enough.
With the latest film news and reviews. This is Offscreen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
And we're back. So, Mr. Allen, to where shall we venture next on our cinematic voyage of the week?
Some film called The Prodigy, which is some kind of horror film and looks just terrible. Just the worst. And by that's a compliment. I mean... Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, very recently we had The Hole in the Ground, if you remember that. Do you remember that one? It was about... in fact, it was your first week back we reviewed The Hole in the Ground. It was the British sort of kind of take on this. Right.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So I've been calling this Mum with Haunted Child number 936 Tokyo Drift. And it's not far off what it actually is. So the basic setup is it's a film that stars Taylor Schilling. You know, everyone's least favourite element of
Orange,
of Orange is the New Black, exactly. She is a young, heavily pregnant mum, and she goes into labour the same night that a serial killer who likes to imprison young women, sever their hands and then kill them, when he has one of his victims accidentally get away on him. You know, after he's just taken one of her hands. She leads the police back to him. The police heavily open up their automatic weapons on this one guy, and he dies at the exact minute that Taylor Schilling's child is born. And the camera zooms back out of him and zooms into the newborn baby, so you can vaguely hedge an idea where this is going. Now, that's a level of subtlety I'm giving you right there. The film is in no way this subtle about it. No. So basically, the kid starts... We then flash forward to the first 8 years of the child's life. From a very early age, he shows signs of being gifted, of being far too intelligent for his age. He's put into a gifted school. You know, one of those modern ones that always looks like they're an Apple store. You know, those ones. Wooden bench, lots of tiles.
Yeah.
Tiles and wooden.
Loads of white, loads of glass.
Exactly. And there's lots of shiny surfacing, so you know it's expensive.
Yes.
Right. The kid's 8 years old, and all of a sudden he starts to exhibit some strange behaviour. Behaviour that suggests maybe he's not fully in control of his own body. Oh, gee, I wonder what could possibly be going on. I know. Why don't I take him to a professor of reincarnation? You know, those ones that exist. Here's one, played by Colm Feore.
The regression won't work if you're in the room.
Is this going to hurt him?
No. It's hypnosis. Miles goes out of body when the invading soul is present. He won't even remember the experience. The goal here is to identify the person who has returned, and this is important, find out what they want. I'm going to be candid with you, Sarah. This may be your last chance. Miles is 8 now. Soon the invading soul will have control, and Miles will be gone.
Yeah, it's a bit daft, isn't it?
That's an understatement, yeah.
Right, I'll tell you something. Next bad movie night that we have. You know, when we usually watch Geostorm and everything, like, this is going on.
As long as we still watch Geostorm, I don't care what we do.
Oh, God, of course, yeah. This was enjoyable to me for all the same reasons Geostorm was. You know how Geostorm is not what you would typically call a bad good movie?
I'd call it a good bad movie.
Yeah, it's one of those that, actually, it is just bad, but it doesn't realise it's bad and plays it so seriously that I kind of enjoy it, and I laugh at it and with it. This is one of those. And I say that because at the 40-minute mark of this, 100-minute long horror movie, there is a sequence in which Taylor Schilling sits in a room with that professor of reincarnation and a child psychologist. And the child psychologist responds to being told about reincarnation with, "This explains so much." with complete sincerity.
This is what they taught us at school. This is what we learned.
And an entire screening room full of critics, for one of 2 occasions this week, absolutely burst into hysterics. And that was the point at which a silent agreement was formed within the room, an unspoken, unsignalled agreement came into effect in which, do you know what, we're just going to enjoy how fun the badness of this really is, how much fun we're going to have with how truly terrible this movie can be. And yes, it really goes there. Every plot beat you think is coming. Are they going to do something inventive with it? Hell no. But they're going to do it anyway. It's just that movie. I mean, there's one of those logic leaps in this as regards like human relationships, between like a husband and a wife, where you just sit there and think, yeah, there are times you'd pick that fight, and then there are times you wouldn't. This might not have been one of them. We just sit and think, no human male would pick that moment to have that discussion. That kind of moment in the middle of this, and it's there purely to just get rid of the character for 10 minutes. Why? It doesn't make any sense. But fair enough. I sat through Cherry Falls.
Might as well just have them say, you, just go sit in the corner.
You, off screen, back in the next act. That kind of thing. It reminded me a lot of Orphan, but Orphan was actually an academically better movie. And also, Orphan had some fun with the twist. This doesn't have a twist. It kind of just lays it all out.
I knew the twist going in, but that didn't ruin my enjoyment of
I saw Orphan because of the twist.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because I thought, I've got to see them do that. And they did, and it was brilliant. This is like Child's Play in that it's not really a shock when you see the Child's Play for the first time when the doll starts to come to life. Because that's why we had to sit through that scene early with Brad Dourif. It's the same thing. You're like, why are they showing us the serial killer getting killed? Isn't they? Oh, well, you're going to tell us in 10 minutes anyway. Okay, never mind. They're not making any secret about it. There's a couple of films this week that have done that, to be fair, with the marketing. But if you're someone that likes to watch a good bad horror movie, absolutely check out The Prodigy.
And you know that I am.
I know that you are.
Yeah.
So check it out. Check it out after you've seen Fisherman's Friends, by all means. But
well, I'm going to wait until that's on Netflix, because I think also it's either on Netflix or on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
There's a film called Finding Your Feet, and I feel like
yes, that's
they might be from the same people actually.
But they look like the same poster.
They look like the same, like blue, yellow fonts, people smiling and stuff. I feel like that's a good, like, nauseating double bill.
It's very much the case. Yeah. Have you got a quick piece of film news you'd like to go through before we review Girl, then?
No.
No? Would you like to just go straight to Girl?
I would.
Okay, so
I've got some film news.
You've got it, but you still feel like it.
Yeah, I'm going to sit in it for a bit, and I'm going to let it kind of
percolate, marinate.
Fester. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Girl, which is a new film from Lucas Daunt. This is a drama about a 15-year-old trans girl named Lara, who's been born in the body of a boy who is transitioning, across the gender lines, and this is all being done as she is pursuing her childhood dream of becoming a ballerina. And this is a foreign language film. It stars Victor Polster, a young Polish actor and dancer, as Lara. Now, the performance we get from Victor Polster it's phenomenal. It's mind-blowingly good. We obviously haven't got a clip because none of it is in English, so it would make for great radio in England. But Victor Polster's performance is absolutely tremendous. Just the physicality of the performance, the delicacy, the poise. And this translates not only just through the physicality, but it's kind of exemplified by it. But there's a lot of that in the nuances as well, in the layered way that he sort of plays this character. Really terrific performance. And it's a hard film to review because that performance is so shiny and bright that the film kind of dissolves away behind it to an extent. Which, it shouldn't do. The film is great in its own right. The film is a really dark, insightful, heavy job. It's a hard watch. Almost in a way, obviously they're in no way alike, but in the way that Rosie last week was a hard watch at times. It's quite a wearing, taxing experience to watch. Was the Irish homelessness...
Just remind people what Rosie was.
Was the Irish homelessness drama last week with the family. This one, hard watch. It's heavy. It's got emotional weight. It's got serious heft to it, and it obviously all builds to a moment that, frankly, you will never unsee. But I thought it was a tremendous work, though. I really did. I thought it was a great movie. As I say, it's showing in Curzon cinemas, I believe. So Curzon's and art houses. It's one of the Curzon releases for this week. So it's called Girl, written and directed by Lucas Daunt. Really, really loved this. I mean, gorgeous film, stunning film, but an even more stunning performance at the centre of it for me.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting.
With the latest film news and reviews. This is Offscreen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
And we're back for one last ride, Mr. Allen. So before we take our last review, which is going to be Benny's Back, let's go back to the world of the film news. Is there anything you'd like to go through for this week? I believe we have some casting news somewhere.
I think we do. Well, potential casting news. So we were talking off air about the Cruella de Vil prequel.
Yes,
which I think is going to be called Cruella.
I think it is, imaginatively enough.
Yeah, because if you just call it de Vil, people are just going to call it Devil.
Yeah.
Or Devile.
Well, they might think it's like a foreign language remake of that M. Night Shyamalan People in a Lift movie. Yeah.
Yeah, is that one where, like, the lift was the devil or something?
I think so. They were in the lift.
I don't know, yeah.
Did they die, each get picked off through a variety of horrible meats? I can't remember that movie.
I remember watching it at home and I just kept falling asleep.
I remember it was meant to be part of like a Twilight Zone-esque trilogy.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, but it never
because
came
everything he does now has got to be,
clearly
a trilogy. Yeah.
But so Cruella, I believe it's called.
Yeah, they're currently casting for the villain of that film, which I believe is going to be called the Baroness.
And we did have the list up.
There's a long list.
There's a long list. So the candidates for the villain, and bear in mind the hero is going to be Estella, played by Emma Stone. It's going to be set in 1970s London. And
so the hero is called Estella, who is then going to transform into Cruella de Vil, who is then
going to become Cruella. Yeah, going to become the villain. This is the villain origin story, as it were.
So Maleficent.
So yeah, basically. I mean, even though we've got the sequel to that coming out this year as well to get onto the Disney Plus early release slate. But so the candidates for the villain are Demi Moore, Julianne Moore, Charlize Theron, Emma Thompson, and Nicole Kidman. So they do want a woman of a specific age, I think, for this. They do want someone with a decent age gap from Emma Stone, I think. Who's the youngest? I think that Charlize is probably Charlize has got to be the youngest.
Got to be, yeah.
But Julianne Moore, I can't see doing it.
I can see Nicole Kidman because she likes to do this kind of like.
Even Emma Thompson, I could see doing it.
I could see Kate Blanchett.
Charlize already
she did the Cinderella.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You don't want to get all Alan Tudyk about it and have her in too much.
No, speaking of Tudyk, he is going to be voice of Iago the Parrot.
He is.
In Aladdin.
Everyone's first question this week when that trailer came out was, great, who's Iago?
Yeah, that's all we care about.
Well, now that we know Abu exists in it. So
Yeah,
we discovered that, didn't we?
Hey, do you know what, that trailer doesn't look too bad?
Doesn't? I
think it's solved a lot of like the ill will surrounding that film.
I'm more intrigued by Will Smith's genie. You know, now I like that there's musical numbers in it. They're not skipping on there.
There's got to be those musical numbers.
But and also as Jasmine is my favourite Disney princess, I'm pleased with how she's been cast.
Have you heard anyone being displeased about how young Jafar is?
Only me, and only because that role was Oded Fehr's and Oded Fehr's alone. How dare anybody come along and snake that role of Jafar away from a man Oded Fehr? Come on, this was going to be his time, damn it.
If Oded Fehr was going to have any role, it was going to be Doctor Strange, and that was never going to happen either. The thing is, if you cast someone to be like an older character, like Jafar's meant to be, there's obviously a bit in Aladdin where Jafar wants to marry Jasmine.
Yes.
Jasmine is supposed to be a teenage girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they had to de-age her ever so slightly for that, you think?
Yeah, so I completely understand Jafar being like mid-30s.
I have more than a few female friends who have a thing about Jafar. It's very strange.
That's bizarre. Well, that's besides the point.
I mean, it's a great Halloween costume for me down the line as well, but, still, I think I could pull off Jafar.
Yeah.
Might be the only time in history where I actually get good costume ideas out of the whole Arab thing. But, yeah.
I think you'd make a better Sultan.
I think I'd make a better Sultan.
Yeah. It's a
bleep you, buddy.
It's a hype thing.
What's the one in Harold and Kumar when he says F you when it means something flip you or
flip
something
you.
like that because he won't say it. I don't know. Anyway, okay, so last review of the week. Let's talk about
Ben is back.
Ben is back. I can confirm, after much speculation, Ben is back is a feature film about a character named Ben who returns. Yeah,
that's what I wanted.
I can confirm that. Okay, so it is written and directed by Peter Hedges, who's the father of the actor playing Ben, Lucas Hedges, who, before you can say, damn you, Chalamet, is a drug addict who turns up at his family's place on Christmas Eve, unexpectedly, he's been off in rehab. He shows up. His family seem to have their life relatively calm and suburban, and he obviously represents an element that's decidedly against that grain. He returns, and he is told by his mother, you can stay for exactly one night. You have to adhere to a certain number of conditions, but his return brings with it elements both emotional and from external forces that, of course, very quickly upset the happy home, and this takes the mother and son on a journey of kind of reconnection as they react to events through the evening. We have a clip, and this is Julia Roberts laying out the terms.
Okay. Here's the deal, and it is not negotiable. You get a day.
Are you sure?
So long as you pass the drug test I'm about to administer, stay clean while you're here, and that this time tomorrow you are back in sober living.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I'm not done. These are our terms. You do not leave my sight ever. You do not close the door to your room, where, by the way, I will be sleeping on the floor. And if you try to sneak off, if your bed so much as makes a squeak, I will be all over you, because for the next 24 hours, you are mine, all mine. Got it?
I got it.
Good.
JR on fine form there as always, and
No one has ever called her JR.
really, she's JR to me. I'm hereby dubbing her JR. But although that's going to get confusing if we ever talk about who shot JR and the whole thing. Okay, You know what? Bad idea. Scrap it. Motion tabled. Anyway, so Julia Roberts on fine form as ever. Lucas Hedges, has he ever been bad? I mean, really? I can jokingly call this methadone by the sea all I like, but
You should have done.
I did on the social post. But the thing is that the two of them do bring a gravitas to it. You've got Courtney B. Vance in there as well as Julia Roberts' second husband, I would at a guess. And who's the actress I'm thinking of?
I didn't
here?
know that he was with Angela Bassett in real life.
I did not know that. Although I can absolutely see that as a power couple.
Yeah, they were at the Oscars together, and it was excellent.
That's a pairing I absolutely see in a power couple.
Yeah.
It's also got Catherine Newton in there as Ben's younger sister and Julia Roberts' other child
why do I
from
know that
her
name?
first marriage. You know her from Blockers, in which she played Leslie Mann's daughter.
Oh, right, yeah.
Or you'll know her from Supernatural, in which she played Misha Collins' daughter. She's always someone's daughter.
She's always a daughter.
Yeah, she's always insert name actor's daughter. That's how this works. Here she is, Julia Roberts' daughter. And she puts in a really good turn as well, in a character that... The whole film is actually quite well structured as far as laying out character goes. I liked it quite a bit. It's not a game changer. It's fairly boilerplate awards season stuff, and you do kind of feel like if Beautiful Boy hadn't existed, this may have gotten slightly more attention. But, I mean, beyond that, it is kind of what it is. It's a satisfying enough... kind of a 3 out of 5 kind of a drama with good performances, and it's at least 80% less nausea-inducing than Beautiful Boy was. Because, there's no scene in which he just opens a scrapbook and it's got his ramblings about how I am an addict, things like that, none of that. Which I didn't realise was quite as hilarious until Simran Hans pointed it out to me. She took real issue with it. There's literally his journal in which he documents, I am an addict, I have a problem, all this stuff. But, again, that film only worked because of performances. This works as well as it does because of performance. But I don't think it's going to set anyone's world alight, to be honest.
No. I'll watch it if I want to,
I will give it, though, points for one thing. The way in which it handles addiction is actually kind of refreshing. There is an offhand moment in a mall food court, sort of a third of the way into the movie kind of thing. It's not really a big plot point or anything, but it's a character moment in which, Ben and Julie Roberts are just walking by doing some Christmas shopping, and his childhood doctor is in the food court, and he's now an old man with dementia. And Julia Roberts is left alone with him for a moment and basically tells him, my son had a snowboarding accident, you told us those pills were, non-prescription, non-addiction, all this stuff. That's him there.
Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
She has that
Good
moment.
one.
She has that moment. That moment you'd probably dream of. And the stuff like that, the way it handles this opioid addiction is actually quite refreshing. It is done as he says, don't trust a liar, everything they say is a lie, all this stuff. We just lie to get what we want. It does the boilerplate stuff, but it does put depth in the front end, if you know what I mean. It does give it some grounding. Gives you a sort of a real world. This can happen. This can happen to someone you know. This can happen to you. This can spiral. This just spirals out of something innocuous. Kind of. I thought that is an incredibly refreshing thing to actually see. I thought Beautiful Boy was going to do something like that. It didn't. And here we are. Let the other one do it.
No, but I mean, Beautiful Boy had Timothy Chalamet's beautiful hair.
It did. It is, and that is beautiful hair.
We should have just called it Beautiful Hair.
We should have, yeah. I mean, you ever noticed that no matter how messed up he was, no matter how bad his shakes were, how much he was sweating, the Chalamet...
He's still a dreamboat.
Oh, that hair, man. He was still... He was a heroin-powered dreamboat is what he was.
Yeah.
So, alas, Ben...
Do you know, in my maths book, I've just got loads of drawings of him, and I've got...
An abstract figure who in later years would turn out to be Timothy Chalamet.
Yes, of course.
That's clearly
yeah.
what it was.
Yeah. I've got, like love hearts with Case, and then Timothy...
You saw Call Me By Your Name for the first time, like, oh my god, I've been seeing this man my whole life.
Yeah.
Fair enough. As I say, Benny's back, not our film of the week, though. Film of the week for me, I personally...
Fisherman's Friends.
That's the thing, if you're going out for a good time at the cinema, right, you know, take date night, you and Cass are going to the cinema, you want something to see, if you're going to have a good time, based on something I recommended, probably...
Date night for me and Cass is watching the new Partridge. And or maybe watching Celebrity Bake Off. One of us has been to Tesco and picked up like a cake.
I've just realised the flaw in my logic though. You and Cass would watch Prodigy and love it. So, because y'all are twisted like me, so yeah. But otherwise, Fisherman's Friends.
We will watch out when it's on Netflix. So this will be my film of the week in like a year.
Yeah, okay,
Netflix.
we'll go with that then. I say Prodigy because you can just have a great time with how bad it is. But anyway, so
what are we talking about next week?
So next week we are talking about Us. Next week.
Oh yeah, finally.
We are talking about The White Crow next week. Ray Fiennes, his love of Nureyev. Yuli, the Carlos.
I feel like we didn't give yours and I feel like we didn't give Us enough like kind of grandeur there. New film by Jordan.
Oh yes, cool. Yeah,
we're just like Jordan Peele. Yeah, talking about Us.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Us, new Jordan Peele film. We're going to talk about White Crow, the new Ray Fiennes movie because of his Nureyev thing. Yuli, the Carlos Acosta story. We've got A Trip to the Moon. We've got Cradle of Champions. We've got Minding the Gap. We've got Sorry Angel, and we've got Nervous Translation. All to come next week.
So we've got Us next week.
Cool. And a couple other ones next week.
I'm sure a lot of them are very good films I've already forgotten.
Yeah, but Us is out next week, there's that too. So we've got all those to cover and more next week off screen. In the meanwhile, this has been Candy Stubbridge from Movie Market. I've been Ben Connor.
I've been Case Allen.
And we shall return.
Just show me the way to get out of here and I'll be on my way.
You've been listening to Offscreen. For more movie news, reviews and more, visit moviemarker.co.uk.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.
So, what are your top 10 Pixar films, Ben? Oh, this is Podcast Extras. Hi.
Oh, yeah,
hello.
Yeah. Hi, welcome.
Hiya.
Right, I need to pick. I'm gonna pull up the list of Pixar movies. Right. Yeah. List of Pixar films. I don't want to miss any. I just want the list of theatrical...
I'll do the same. Right.
Okay, so I've got it here, and let's see. I mean,
God, you got that fast.
I literally just typed Pixar movies into Wikipedia.
I've just typed in all the Pixar movies.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm doing. Right.
My favourite ever, I think, is actually probably Up. If I'm honest,
right,
I think Up is just a beautiful film. WALL-E, all three Toy Stories, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, Inside Out. Very big fan of Inside Out.
How many is that?
See,
I should have been counting, shouldn't I?
I mean, there are only 20. It's with them. There are only 20 Pixar films. Okay.
And you're not putting Ratatouille in that 10?
I'm not putting Ratatouille in my top 10. I'm not a fan of Ratatouille. I mean, I enjoy it when I watch it, but it's not a film that stays with me or anything. It's just I kind of forget it. I mean, half the time I don't even remember that's Patton Oswalt. So
he's not really a selling point for the film, though.
Well, I know, but you'd think I'd remember it for that reason, wouldn't you? But no. So, Monsters Inc., Toy Story Trilogy, Up, WALL-E, what else we got here? We got Inside Out, I'm a big fan of that. So that's 7. Okay, I got 7.
Yeah.
I am typing this out because I'm a yuppie knob, basically.
Yeah.
I quite liked Coco. I thought Coco
I like
was
Coco. I don't know if I put it in the 10. I'm going to do the same thing as you.
And The Incredibles. I like The Incredibles very much. Yeah, the first one. And that's 9. That's 9. And I'll be really honest, I'll put A Bug's Life in there before I put Ratatouille. So
Fair enough.
So there you go. My 10 favourite, in no particular order, are the Toy Story Trilogy, Monsters Inc., Up, WALL-E, Inside Out, Coco, The Incredibles, and A Bug's Life.
Right.
Now,
I think mine would be similar. I would swap out A Bug's Life for Ratatouille.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Which is saying a lot, because I did love A Bug's Life quite a lot.
I think maybe it was an age and sort of time in my life moment for Ratatouille, because I think Ratatouille came out smack in the middle of me being at uni. So
2007?
2007. I was in my second year of uni at that point. So I suppose I was sort of in movies. I was sort of into sort of the flow of movies as much at that point, I don't think. I mean, my favourite movie at that point of the moment in 2007, I think, was probably Shoot 'Em Up. But
that still stands today, doesn't it?
It still stands today, because Shoot 'Em Up's an amazing movie. But seriously, you ever seen the amount of subtext and subtextual messages and things in Shoot 'Em Up? Some of them are hilarious.
Isn't there some sequels, like straight to DVD?
No, Shoot 'Em Up never got anything. Although...
No, what am I thinking of?
Ooh, SWAT?
No.
No? Hard Target.
Smoking Aces.
Smoking Aces did, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking
Speaking of shit direct-to-DVD sequels.
Go on.
I saw a trailer for one earlier, and I've got to see this. Okay? Backdraft 2.
That does not exist.
There is a trailer.
Oh,
there is this. Oh wait!
What?
It gets better.
Right, go on.
Not only is there a trailer out there for the direct-to-DVD Backdraft 2, it actually co-stars Billy Baldwin and Donald Sutherland as the returning characters. And guess who the primary character is in this one? Kurt Russell's son, now an adult firefighter. You tell me, sir. This thing is only missing Ron Howard. That's all it's not got going for it. But there is absolutely a Backdraft 2.
I feel like I'm going to cry. Jennifer Jason Leigh's in it.
Is she?
Scott Glenn is in it.
No way! In Backdraft 2, you're sure you're not looking at the cast list for the first one?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god.
Because I was about to say, JT Walsh is in it, but I realised he's been dead
man.
For 21 years.
Unless it's archival footage.
Yeah. Right, let's... what?
Yeah, Backdraft 2.
So it's the director of Apollo 18.
Of course it is.
So we can't get the director of Apollo 13, but we'll get the director of Apollo 8.
It's got Cyril Inry in there from what was the stand-up comedy film we watched? Jellyfish, recently.
And
he was the teacher in Jellyfish.
I was about to say Grand Budapest Hotel. No.
Grand Budapest Hotel.
The other hotel, the old people.
You mean the Best Exotic Marigold?
That's, yeah.
Who's in this one, Best Exotic Marigold?
Did you say Celia Imrie?
Oh, no, not Celia Imrie. Cyril Inry. Cyril Inry.
So there is a man called Cyril Inry.
Yeah.
And a lady called Celia Imrie.
Yes.
Sometimes I love this world.
I know, the world is great, isn't it?
I need them to meet.
Sammy and Rami. Sammy and Rami, man.
Keith David and David Keith.
Exactly. Javier Bardem and Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Amazing. So Backdraft 2.
Backdraft 2 actually is a thing.
Hang on,
Does it have a release date? I really want to know when it's coming out.
I'm going to play the trailer down my mic.
Please don't. I mean, I'll actually insert it, but...
I hope you can find a way to move forward.
Yeah.
I investigate arson because
I mean, really.
Chief McCaffrey, is he your uncle?
So Billy Baldwin is now actually the chief. That's
I just saw him.
Yeah, and here's the weird thing. I mean, remember when Billy Baldwin was the young, sexier of the Baldwins?
He was Liam Hemsworth.
He was, wasn't he? Like, you had Alec, who was the proper leading man. Yeah, you had Billy, who was the
Chris.
Yeah, he was the Chris. And you had Billy, who was being the pretty one. Of an already good-looking film. Then you had Stephen, who was the rough one.
Yeah,
and then you had Daniel, who was the one for the uncles.
One for the uncles.
Which
one was the Usual Suspects? Was that Daniel or was that Stephen?
That was Stephen. Stephen was in Usual Suspects.
So what's Daniel's big thing? What's
John Carpenter's Vampires?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for Daniel Baldwin. I think he's been like a villain in Hawaii Five-0 since, or something like that.
Yeah.
And Billy Baldwin is currently guest starring in a recurring role on MacGyver.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He was in Parenthood, the TV
he was.
series of Parenthood.
And Alec, of course, is off being Alec, punching people over car parking spots.
Yes, he is, yeah. They're such an interesting
and Stephen's gone full Republican, hasn't he? Because he's like a far-right
he's
job
lost,
now.
Well, why the hell not? He's lost his daughter to Justin Bieber. Go for it.
Hang on. Is she the Baldwin? Is it Stephen's daughter?
Stephen's daughter.
Oh, man. I've got Fled, sat on my watch list to watch with Stephen Baldwin and Lawrence
Fishburne. Yeah, I saw that.
That was his
Why
breakout vehicle.
Why does that exist?
Yeah, that was his breakout vehicle, if you remember. He had that. Billy had Fair Game.
Yeah.
And Alec was doing... was that kind of around the time they did The Getaway with Kim Basinger, and it had the really explicit sex scenes?
Yes.
Nothing says Hollywood star power quite like, I want to plough my wife on camera and I want you to watch and enjoy. But if anything doesn't say Alec Baldwin, I don't know what does. But so Bad Giraffe 2, that exists. I think we should review that when it's out.
We 100% will.
I think we should. Should we just double bill it with the first one?
I think I'm great with ideas for podcasts. No absolute bloody follow through. It'd be a great podcast idea to just do straight to DVD ones. That podcast probably does exist.
Probably does. Direct to DVD sequels.
Yeah.
We should launch one that's literally just direct to DVD sequels to established popcorn films.
Established popcorn. There's so many.
Well,
there's so many.
SWAT Firefights getting a look in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jarhead 4 or whatever.
Oh my god.
It's ridiculous.
Oh yes, and my personal favourite, Cruel Intentions 2, Manchester Prep.
Yeah.
Starring Amy Adams.
Absolutely. Yeah. American Psycho 2, starring
Mila Kunis,
yeah.
Oh my god. I'm sure there's a Hackers 2 somewhere.
I think
there is.
Yeah.
Annoyingly, Lawnmower Man 2 doesn't count because that did get a theatrical in the UK. That was a shame.
S. Darko.
Oh, S. Darko, absolutely, yep.
Butterfly Effect.
Oh, which
one?
That
had a few, didn't
that
it?
that had 2 sequels.
Yeah.
You can do any species that's number 3 onwards.
True, yeah.
And I can tell you for a fact they get increasingly terrible.
I watched the original Species a couple of weeks ago.
I did, because the podcast
It was on there, yeah. I forgot that Alpha Molina was in there.
Oh, man. I just like that bit in that movie when they walk into the train carriage and there's like a big cocoon and a dead body.
Yes.
And psychic boy Forrest Whitaker walks in and says, something bad happened in here. And you're like, well, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
What are you, psychic?
That's what I kept saying to Cassie. It's just like, he's just saying things that everyone can already see.
Yeah, he's the world's worst fucking sidekick.
Yeah.
Psychic, not sidekick. He's also the world's worst sidekick as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, so before we just start ploughing through the film news, let's have a quick review real quickly then for Benjamin, which is a new film written and directed by Simon Amstell.
Right,
So,
of Nevermind Buzzcocks and T4 fame.
And T4 fame. Was he Popworld? He was, wasn't he?
He was Popworld,
He was Popworld, and of course in recent years, Friday Night Dinner I think it is as well, isn't it? Drama series on BBC Three, I think. Went on for a few series.
Was that called Friday Night Dinner as well?
Friday Night Dinner.
Well, Friday Night Dinner was...
Friday Night Dinner, sorry, no, Grandma's House. I'm confusing with Grandma's House. Sorry, my bad.
Grandma's House, actually.
Friday Night Dinner is... They're very similar though, aren't they? The two shows.
Not in tone, but I guess...
Oh, not in tone, but the concept is exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's a Studio 60 30 Rock thing. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's one of those where it's the same concept executed with different tones.
Friday Night Dinner is amazing. Though.
Oh, Friday Night Dinner, that's Channel 4, isn't it? And Grandma's House is BBC.
BBC 2, I think.
So this is more in line with something like Grandma's House, but less outwardly funny. What this basically serves as is a sort of... You remember in the heyday of Kevin Smith?
Yes.
In the heyday of Richard Linklater? In the heyday of...
Miramax, when we were allowed to like Miramax films.
When we were allowed to like Miramax
When
films.
Dimension was a thing.
Yeah. Do you remember how many of those films basically involved prolonged discussions in loft apartments, and wandering around record stores with shaky cam?
Yeah.
You know,
I guess, yeah.
That's this. That is absolutely this, starring Colin Morgan from Merlin, as this really sort of, I would suppose, semi-autobiographical sort of persona crafted around Simon Amstell, as he basically just tries pursuing his latest relationship and does a lot of introspective whining about it. Here's a clip of him seeing his latest would-be partner.
It's only now, all the time it fades under the light.
How old is he, do we think?
I don't think we should dwell on it.
Okay.
He's very good looking.
Oh, God, he's ridiculous. Should never have left the flat. This is it. Look, here it is again, the thin boy on stage.
Yeah. You just like people who are well lit and weak, don't you?
So it's a very talky piece, as you can imagine. It's imagine from that clip. It's very much one of those... if I have a thought, I have to verbalise it, kind of thing. There's not a lot taken on tone, and for how kind of introspective a character drama it wants to be, so much of it is told and not shown that it does come across as whiny. There's really no other way to say it. I couldn't connect with the material, personally.
Is he the director as well, did you say? Sorry.
Amstel has written and directed it. I think it's his feature debut. And there are things in it I did like. Ellie Kendrick it's nice to see Ellie Kendrick turn up in anything. Anna Chancellor, gets a moment in there. Jessica Raine, I always like seeing Jessica Raine.
Right, yeah.
I'm a fan of Jessica Raine. Joel Fry, I thought was quite charming in this as well. He's been in a lot lately. We were talking about yesterday earlier. He's in the trailer for that.
Yes, we were. Yeah.
Got a big fan base from Plebs, I think, which is a show I've never got on with.
Same. I watched one episode on someone's recommendation because it was on Netflix. I just don't know if it is
not for me. Yeah.
I heard that Seth Rogen was doing a US remake.
Yeah, which I think maybe I might get on with that more. Like Seth Rogen's humour is more in line with a lot.
Because I like the idea for it. I like the premise. It's not so much the delivery, I guess.
Can you remind me of Seth Rogen in a minute, please? I want to ask you about something Seth Rogen-y.
Seth Rogen in a minute.
Okay, but yeah, for the most part, for me, I just thought it's not I can't say it's an especially well realised film because a lot of it does feel like it's been made out of necessity rather than creative choice. Okay. So, for instance, the shaky handheld element of it, a lot of the time feels like a lack of discipline rather than the creative decision to take it that way. That you've, for instance, shot it that way to capture the frame of mind. It doesn't feel like that at all. It does just feel like, well, this is how movies used to get made. I'll just do that. And you do wind up with a lot of that New York loft apartment, Where's My Lisa Loeb track, kind of phoned in, sub-Miramax era drama. It is a throwback piece. Didn't grip me anywhere near as those old Miramax films actually do, even when I watch them back now. And I'll be really honest, the only part of it I tremendously enjoyed was when the entire screening room erupted into laughter for the second time this week, because Kermode showed up in the film as himself, reviewing a film within a film, and at that point we all looked around and noticed he wasn't in the screening room because he hadn't come to this one, we just hadn't twigged, and we just basically pissed ourselves laughing. But it was a good moment. It was a good moment. It was a surreal thing, because
we know the guy.
Like we all have sort of estranged acquaintances or actors and things we see in films that. Stephen Merchant turns up to some screens occasionally, and then you see him in a film and you don't quite Stephen Merchant. One of those things.
Who was it we saw? We saw Al Murray once, didn't we?
Yes, Al Murray comes to a lot of screenings.
Yeah.
He used to cover for film, the film programme.
Yes, I remember.
Yes, you met him, didn't you? When we saw Blockers. I think
it was Isle of Dogs. Might have been the same day. Actually.
I think it was the same day. Isle of Dogs and Blockers were the same day.
I remember just being sat in my chair and just being like, that's the pub landlord over there.
Yeah, that act. Did you notice how less funny that act has become in a post-Brexit world? Yeah.
I think
he's aware of that.
Aware of that.
I think so, yeah. And do you know what, though? I mean, did you speak to him that day as well?
I did, yeah.
You did. He's a damn nice guy, isn't he?
Really nice, yeah. I'd really, really briefly, we were both getting a coffee at the same time.
He's nothing at all like that character.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you see Sacha Baron Cohen in an interview, you think, wow, you're actually really smart.
Yeah.
You are way smarter than I would have assumed Ali G would be, but
yeah,
one of those things. So Benjamin, I can't wholeheartedly recommend it, to be honest. I wish I could. I like Simon Amstel.
Benjamin is not back.
Benjamin is not back. No, I just realised that we did Benjamin before Benjamin is back. That's a shame.
Yeah, we should have Benjamin when Ben is back.
So, some interesting Marvel news I want to talk about. Not really strictly film related either. You know the Disney Plus service?
Oh yeah, I think I know what this is.
We're getting an animated series based on the What If canon of Marvel Comics.
That's awesome.
Which is interesting. I don't know how you do it as a visual presentation outside. Unless you're familiar with.
This is things like what if Doctor Strange was a vegetarian, and
it does, yeah.
What if Spider-Man was in the X-Men or stuff like that?
In fact, that is exactly how it started. That there used to be those kind of broad concepts. Nowadays, in sort of the 21st century, the way that they've positioned it in recent years, and I think for a lot of children, for instance, would know it more from the modern incarnation of it, which is every time they do a big event in the comics universe, at some point within the 6 months that follow, they'll release a comic book basically explaining what would have happened if it had gone the other way. So when Civil War happened, for instance, it's what would happen if Cap won Civil War.
Right.
What would happen if the heroes lost World War Hulk? What would happen? Things like that.
Yeah.
And they tend to position it that way, and that's going to be an animated series. My only question, like I say, with that is, How do you, unless you're doing the broad earlier idea, how do you do that as a series now? Because you'd have to know what Civil War is, for instance, to
Good
do
point,
an episode. Well, if Cat won Civil War, and
I guess base it just on the films in the MCU now. So
yeah, I mean, is that
what if Whiplash was a good? What if Iron Man 2 was a good film? We'd have that. What if I stayed awake watching Thor: The Dark World?
Yeah, what if Avengers Age of Ultron didn't suck?
Yeah.
But, yeah, you know, that
what if Joss Whedon cared a bit more on the second film? Or...
What if Joss Whedon cared a bit more, then it's just a shot of Joss Whedon picking up a Best Picture award?
Yeah.
You know, for having produced The Godfather 2 of superhero movies. But, there is that. Today, that's the Disney Plus service, and, well, I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen with that. Disney and Fox, then. We're going to talk about that. There is a date.
You told me that's happening next week, apparently.
They've set a date.
The day before my birthday.
I know. So 2 minutes past midnight on the 20th of March is the set time, estimated close of the deal, of Marvel's acquisition of 21st Century Fox. Wow. What a day and age to live in, huh?
What time to be alive.
I know. Apparently, The Invisible Man. The Lee Winnell one.
Yes, they've nearly found an Invisible Man. Yes. Which is hard because you can't see him.
Well, this is apparently circling two actors for its lead character, its title character.
And those actors are?
Those actors are Armie Hammer and Alexander Skarsgård.
I would prefer Alexander Skarsgård.
Well, if you're Kelly Needham, you're happy either way. So,
right, yeah. Does she like them?
She loves both those men, I believe.
Cool. Yeah.
But and of course, we all know that they're not the main character. They're the title character, but they ain't the main character. The main character is going to be played by Elizabeth Moss, of course.
Right.
Who is going to be? I think he's going to serve in sort of a Hollow Man-like capacity, in that way that Elizabeth Shue did.
It's kind of like the main.
Was like the narrative thrust point of.
Yeah, I guess like Hollow Man is more of a just supporting.
Direct-to-DVD sequel list, Hollow Man.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Seriously, this is an idea.
Do you know who the Hollow Man was in the sequel as well?
Who?
It was Peter Facinelli.
No
From
way.
Twilight.
Not the Fash.
The Fash, man.
Himself.
It was the Fash.
And Can't Hardly Wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Fash. Star of the Twilight Saga and ex-husband of Jenny Garth. Him. Which is especially weird because he starred in Fastlane with Tiffany Thiessen, who co-starred with her in Beverly Hills 90210, and Kevin Bacon exists. But anyway.
If only you could harness like this power into harness this power into sounding more like Sean Connery. If only you could harness it into like, I don't know, developing a cure for cancer.
If only. It'd be great, wouldn't it?
Using your knowledge for that.
Kevin Spacey takes you to Julia Davis, who takes you to Kiefer Sutherland, which is the cure for cancer. There we are.
No, man, Kevin Spacey takes you to jail.
Exactly, yeah. Let's see what else. So we talked about Alan Tudyk, didn't we, being Iago? We mentioned that. The Dark Knight's returning to cinemas is something that's hit the news this week. The trilogy is apparently going to be coming back as part of the 80th birthday celebration of Batman.
Cool.
So,
all right, yeah.
That's fair. I mean,
I'll probably just stay home and watch Blu-ray with it.
Specialised 70mm IMAX print for all three, which is, I will admit, faintly intriguing.
Although, yeah, it would look pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah, it would look pretty badass. I'd be in for that. But let's see who else is on here. Apparently, we're getting another one of those Christmas Prince movies from Netflix.
It's going to be called A Christmas Baby. I know it.
Have you seen these because Cassie's watched them? Is that what it is?
I saw the first one because Cassie wanted to watch it. I saw the second one because I quite enjoyed it.
Got two eyes and a heart, don't I? Yeah, but also, your wife does love a good rom-com bit of crap.
No, she loves a good Christmas film.
Oh, is it Christmas?
No, she loves a bad Christmas film.
Oh, okay.
She loves any Christmas
film. So Christmas film bit of crap.
Yeah.
Oh, okay then. Meanwhile, Rhys Darby's back for Jumanji 3.
Really?
That's
amazing.
Nigel Billingsley, I believe his name
Awesome.
is. Nigel Billingsley is the name.
That's great. Yeah, they've started to shoot it now, haven't they?
They have, because the first photos are out as well.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
They've started shooting the Hitman's wife's bodyguard.
Yeah, and Morgan Freeman's joined it as well, because you were surprised they allowed him in film still.
Yeah, but, wasn't there some dodgy stuff going on?
There was some dodgy stuff, but I don't know. I figured they just think Morgan Freeman's harmless enough. But although, as we've proven this last week, what people do is proportional to exactly how awesome you think they are. I call it the Michael Jackson spectrum.
Yeah. Because, that's news, isn't it? Now?
That's news, yeah.
Some book in 1993, it's news again.
It is a question of, hang on, who didn't think... Okay, never mind.
I just think people obviously love the 90s. Nostalgia is a massive thing, especially nostalgia for the 90s. Like, last year we had a Power Rangers film, and a couple of years ago, Beauty and the Beast film again. This year we're getting an Aladdin film, we're getting a Lion King film.
It's true.
We just
Chucky's
love
back again.
Chucky's back again. We just love everything about the bloody 90s.
We do.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, you've known me for many years. I was a 90s whore before it was cool.
Yeah.
So it was mostly
during the
laziness.
90s.
Yeah, mostly laziness on my part. If I'm going to lie, if I'm not going to lie, but
look at you wearing a bloody New York Yankees cap. You're basically Fred Durst. It just needs to be red.
Although it's only when I take the jacket off, I do like to flip it back. Anyway, here's the thing that I found very strange this week. Joel Edgerton has apparently been approached to star as Kano in the film adaptation of Mortal Kombat.
I didn't realise that was still going to happen.
Yeah, that's apparently a thing. Now, not only is it happening, remember it was going to have James Wan involved at one point.
Yeah.
Like, James Wan was going to be the ace in the whole card they were going to play. He then dropped out. So this is a live-action feature film reboot. It's now going to be directed by the Australian filmmaker Simon McQuoid.
What's he done?
I don't know, but I mean, based on his name, which is the most Australian name ever, I'm going to suppose he might have been, I don't know.
Directed a Foster's advert.
Yeah, Foster's advert and a Baz Luhrmann movie cinematography gig, I don't know.
Yeah, it was an AD on Australia.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Greg Russo's penning it as well. This is his first film as a writer. No relation. But, no, this is his first film as a writer. But yeah, Kano, Joel Edgerton.
Either the Russo brothers or Rennie.
Exactly. But... this is the thing, it's a non-character. He's like, was he a cybernetically enhanced warrior? But there's not really a character there. So, in one sense, I suppose kind of perfect for Joel Edgerton. But...
you leave Joel Edgerton alone. He was the bad guy in Great Gatsby, I guess.
He was in Great Gatsby?
He's good. He's good in some stuff. What was
I like Joel Edgerton. I just forget he was in
Loving.
No,
he is good in some.
I found him more memorable in The Gift than anything else. Literally ever.
And he made that. I liked that a lot.
And he made that.
Yeah.
That's the most memorable he's ever been.
Yeah, no, he's really good. Warrior.
Again, I remember Tom Hardy. I don't remember he was even in that. Look, I have this
arguably
spot.
the lead in that, I would say.
I just have this cloud in my head where Joel Edgerton lives. And, yeah.
Animal Kingdom?
You ever seen that thing, that Doctor Who thing? Whenever someone looks at the TARDIS, it's sort of, they can't actually see it.
You have that with Joel Edgerton.
They have to want to see it. I have that with Joel Edgerton. I have the perception filter effect with Joel Edgerton.
What do you see instead?
I mostly just see this sort of homunculus of, like, Jai Courtney and Sam Worthington.
Don't you dare lump
all the forgettable Australian actors that have appeared over the last few years. And yeah, and then...
At least say that you just, like, swap him out for Hugh Jackman.
No. I mean... he's the Home Bargains version of Hugh Jackman. Let's be honest. No, it's not like no. He's the Range version of Hugh Jackman.
That's not bad.
So it's not bad, but it's not good either.
I've bought some photo frames from the Range.
Haven't we all?
In fact, there's a cushion I've got downstairs from the Range.
So Idris Elba is Deadshot now. We know that in Suicide Squad 2. The Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Oh, yeah. That's what we could talk about.
Go on.
I'm making it sound like we've got nothing to talk about.
Well, we've got things
There's
to talk
so
about.
much to talk about.
Yeah, go.
This week's been naff for news. Come on.
It has a bit.
Yeah, they've said, like, who, some of the characters are going to be in the Suicide Squad. And they sound weird.
They do sound weird, don't they?
Yeah, Polka Dot Man.
The Ratcatcher.
Ratcatcher.
King Shark.
Oh, I can't wait to see King Shark in the film.
James Gunn is doing King Shark.
That's amazing.
I'm in. Yeah. James Gunn's doing King Shark. You got my money, man.
Peacekeeper, is it?
I think something like that. It's like an ironic name, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one that Batista's probably going to end up playing.
Oh, clearly, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm good with it. I'll bring it on. You bring me a James Gunn Suicide Squad. You got my money. That's fine.
Yeah.
Apparently, the run they're actually adapting for this film, like tonally and like content-wise, the idea they're going for is rather than like the current one, which used the New 52 era of DC Comics to base its characters on, they're going back to the 80s run.
All right.
So they are going back to Deadshot being a childless elite marksman with a death wish. Idris Elba. In. Absolutely. Yeah, you got me. The de facto leader of the squad.
Harley Quinn is not going to be in this one.
Is she not? Oh, no, she's not expected to return. I don't think she is, no.
But she is being... Margot Robbie is being Harley Quinn in her own things.
Oh, her own thing, yeah.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, this is fresh off the press. This is brand new. And Warner Brothers have signed up Juan Collet Serra for a remake.
Of
a classic Michael Caine movie. That's also a classic. That's almost
film.
That did get remade, but it's also a classic Stallone movie.
Oh, Get Carter.
Nah, I see it's a trick question. It's Escape to Victory.
The bloody football film. Who's going to play Pele?
But that is true, though, because Michael Caine started Get Carter, and then Stallone remade it with Mickey Rourke, and it was terrible.
So weird.
It's the Nazi prison camp story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's see. They have a draft from 2017, apparently, by Anthony Tambakis and Gavin O'Connor. So,
Who made Warrior?
Who made
with
Warrior?
Joel Edgerton.
All coming up case, isn't it? Right, let's see. Apparently Fantastic Four failing, that's why we never got a Gambit movie with Channing Tatum.
Yeah, that's what Rupert Wyatt has said. Rupert Wyatt has got that film coming out. What's it called? Captive States.
Captive State, yes.
With
Although
Johnny B. Goodman.
If we're really being technical about it, I would argue that having a director drop out might have caused it to stall. Just a thought.
Well, no, having 4 directors to drop out.
Yeah, having multiple directors drop out one at a time. Yeah, I can absolutely see that being the reason.
Why doesn't Channing Tatum just direct it himself?
It's an interesting question, actually.
Yeah. You'd think he's so passionate about it.
He clearly really wants to do it, doesn't he? But I think now that it's going to be an MCU property, I don't think he's going to get that chance somehow.
I would do it.
Get Louis Leterrier back. Come on. Get Louis Leterrier back and give me Ocean's 11 with superheroes. I mean, arguably we kind of already had that with Ant-Man, but give me that. I'll take that. I'll take the Cajun Ocean's 11.
The Cajun Ocean's 11.
Well, there hasn't really been a Marvel film do New Orleans yet, has there?
No.
Like, of the locations they've done. So I can imagine that would be a good incentive for them with Gambit.
That'd be good. I like that about the MCU films, just seeing different locations. Like we got LA for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue it didn't come off brilliant though. I mean, in terms of its bright colourfulness, but
there's a bit in it where we seem to be going not into the deep south, but in the south. At one point, where we go to, I've forgotten her name. Monica, is it Monica?
Yeah, they go to, is it Tennessee? Or?
Yeah.
We'd been to Tennessee before in Iron Man, but like in snow.
So, yes, we didn't really,
so, speaking of Marvel people, Tom Holland is going to star in a film for Anthony and Joe Russo.
Yes.
Yes, it's going to be called Cherry.
Cool, what's it about?
It is based on a novel by Nico Walker, and it is about a former Iraq War army medic who became a bank robber.
Cool.
Yeah, and he did that as a way to cope with his PTSD. So this sounds like a hell of a story. I'm intrigued to see what happens there. But, I mean, it was a fictional spin on the guy himself. I mean, the writer himself had been convicted for bank robbery. I think he had been a medic. So it's sort of semi-autobiographical, but heavily fictionalised, I believe. So, see what comes of that. I'm intrigued. The concept's interesting. Seth Rogen, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, you asked me to remind you, so hey Van, Seth Rogen.
Okay, so Seth Rogen's like big on the TV producing kind of sphere at the minute, isn't he?
Yeah.
2 of his shows I'm watching at the moment. One is Black Monday with Don Cheadle.
Oh, I didn't realize he was a producer on it.
He's a producer on that. He and Evan Goldberg are a producer on that.
Yeah, I will start watching it.
It's unique.
Right.
I like it. It's House of Lies with a countdown clock and Wolf of Wall Street kind of facelift. But also,
I don't understand what that sentence is.
Okay, well, it'll make sense to you in time.
I'll watch it and I'll be like, I get Wolf of Wall Street. Countdown clock, not so much.
Oh, okay. There's a countdown clock in the series. You'll see when literally every episode is the title of the episode counts down to Black Monday.
Oh.
That's the concept of the series.
Oh, right.
It's counting down to the worst day in stock market history.
Yeah.
And every episode is a number, and that's the number of days remaining.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so I don't know how if they'd consider doing a series 2 or anything like that, because I think that opportunity might be taken away from them. But
yeah, I guess they do like the aftermath.
Yeah, it's interesting. Paul Shear's very good in it.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, he talks about it quite a lot.
Also, the other one is Future Man.
Yeah,
with what's his name? Josh Hutcherson.
Peter.
Yes, Peter from...
Peter?
Yes, from...
Peter, where have you gone? You have disguised yourself as a rock.
From the Hungry Contest, yes.
The Hungry Contest. From the starving challenge.
Yes, Peter, who takes 4 hours to paint himself lovingly like foliage. Because that's how you win the Hunger Games.
Ridiculous. What's your power? Makeup.
But Future Man is like a comedic spin on The Last Starfighter. He's a stoner energy drink nerd who like completes a game on his Xbox like 360, and then finds out that it's like Last Starfighter. It's a recruitment program for the rebellion in the future, who are led by Eliza Donovan and some other dude, and they come back in time and they go on a series of time traveling adventures to save the future. Keith David is in it, I believe.
Not David Keith.
Not David Keith. Keith David. But the second series of that has just started, and it is interesting, to say the least. But
sounds good.
Anyway, other than Taika Waititi directing the pilot for an Apple TV adaptation, Time Bandits, I'm all out for this week, to be honest.
So am I. This week has let me down. Just
been
in
a
terms
quiet
of
week,
news. But I think the week before was pretty good. So swings and roundabouts. See what happens next week. Someone big might die.
You want to cue it up in the meanwhile?
Yes. Here it is. Your moment of Nicolas Cage.
Breakfast formation. I want to see some real caveman action out there. We do this fast. We do this loud. We do this as a family.